Welcome to the Making of a DM podcast show. Multiply your efforts or die on the vine. Put those money goggles on. We got a great show to talk about today. Let's get started.
I'm more Kevin's deal. I'm more Kevin's deal. I'm here to help and teach him what I know and how I did it. To discover freedom. There ain't no question more Kevin's when he step in the door. He's closing deals. Time to tell him what the DM stand for. I'm a deal maker. But I'm not just a deal maker. I'm a dream maker.
Hey there, it's your host, Mark Evans, DM, coming to you from Parkland, Florida. Let me set the picture with you for real quick here. I'm sitting out back. It's early morning. Sun's coming up. I'm on the golf course overlooking hole number 2. I see some of the workers out here working. They got their headlights on their golf carts. It's dark out still. As I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking about how thankful I am of everything. One, I woke up. That's step one. And more importantly, you guys listening to the show, how appreciative I am of all the responses, all the positive feedback over on iTunes. I know we're just getting started with this show, and I really am looking forward to sharing this with more people as we develop it out. To be honest with you, I've just been super busy on a bunch of other projects, so I haven't, had 100% of focus of promoting or sharing the show, really. I know all you guys are sharing the show and all that, which I appreciate with your friends and, colleagues and people you care about in life and business. But as I'm going to have a website set up for you guys where you can go and see some of the pictures and videos and some free stuff, a lot of free stuff I'm going to be sharing with you guys over the next couple years here on this journey of the making of a DM. So again, I want to say thank you very much for being just a great listener and being here. It means a lot to me in all seriousness. And as I'm sitting here, we're just getting acclimated. Just got back to Parkland. Like I said, I'll be here for till June now. So the next 9-10 months. We got the family here. I'm sitting out back by the pool. Birds are chirping. You probably hear them in the background. If it annoys you, I apologize. But actually, I don't apologize. It sounds amazing. So I want to share something with you guys, and I hope this helps you a lot because it's something I've been thinking about, and I've been talking to a lot of people because recently on the show I did Magician versus the Mule. I had a lot of people private message me and hit me up and say, Mark, you don't understand, man. I'm a trainer. Or I work at this facility as a, package guy or whatever. It's not about being rich and all that stuff. And the truth is, to me, money to me is a tool. It's not necessarily about being rich. It's about what I can do while I'm here on this planet Earth and how I can maximize my abilities to provide to the world. To be honest with you guys, like I told you this before, on show number 1, I've never had a real job my entire adult life, meaning I've never had a boss, if you will. I have lots of bosses, right? I have customers and team members and all that. But if I don't wake up and go kill it today, the ramifications aren't necessarily the end of the day results. I'm not going to get fired, right? But it is going to affect me and where I'm going with my vision for myself, most importantly, and where I'm taking the team and being a great leader. What a lot of people may or may not know, but being a leader is not all rainbows and unicorns. It's a lot of mental work, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of conversations in our heads. Yes, sometimes it looks cool on the outside, but what most people never ever see is all the real work going on behind the scenes late at night when I can't sleep, the days going to the events, trucking across the country, expanding my brain, investing in myself constantly, through systems and people and mentors and masterminds and everything in between. And they're not all created equal. I'm not acting like they are, but a lot of those things have helped me out tremendously. Even if I had a bad experience, I know, hey, this isn't what I want to do in the future if I ever do something like that. So, one thing as a leader, you're always learning and you're very, very, very self-aware. But with that said, I want to talk to you guys about a lot of things today, truthfully, but I got my notes here. Multiply. I want you to think about multiplication, not addition. A lot of people come to me. Most of you listening are business owners, new and old. I've been doing business now for 23 years. So I kind of have, it kind of looks easier when I do stuff. I do have teams, I have people, I have some financial resources. I'm able to hire great people and, expedite results, but you should never be paying attention to that. Like you're never going to get ahead looking at what someone else in front of you is doing. You got to, now don't get me wrong. It's cool to like look at someone that's more in front of you to like, how do I get closer to that? And how can I mimic this person here and there? But don't get down on yourself when things aren't going as fast as they want. The truth is, like I started off the show with, like even my website set up for this show, it's not 100%. It's you guys you've never even seen it yet, truthfully, depending when you're listening to the show, because I haven't shared it yet because it's not done and I have a team and all that. It's just, where do you put your energy, time, and such at this time? But I'm thinking about this multiply versus addition effect, and it is a big deal. And I talked about this a lot in the Magician versus the Mule. But what we have to start doing is start thinking about multiplying our efforts. Marketing is multiplying. I talked about, you can go door knock to 1,000 houses, or you can sit from anywhere in the world and send an amazing direct mail piece to 1,000 houses. The response, typically, time dollar value is going to be direct mail, hands down, right? Same thing with Facebook and advertising and videos on YouTube or wherever platform you decide to pick to advertise. What you're really looking to do is amplify / multiply your voice or your message. And it's not just done in marketing. This is done in business. This is done in your efforts and everything in between. So what I mean by that is my team does a lot of real estate deals. I'm involved in many, many transactions that I don't talk to buyers. I don't talk to sellers. I don't talk to private lenders. I don't talk to the investors. I don't talk to the title companies. I don't talk to the inspectors. I don't talk truthfully to anybody except my team. So I have this little concept. I wrote about this in the 10-Minute Business Owner book. If you've not gotten that, that's on Amazon.com, 10-Minute Business Owner. And the concept is very simple. So you realize my wife and I, we've traveled a lot, and I would always create this constraint effect. It was a real constraint, actually, most of the time. When we're in a foreign country, my wife's like, we're leaving in 30 minutes, and I had a lot of work to do in 30 minutes. But I even constrained it a little tighter. Picture this. You're on an island in the middle of nowhere. You have a global phone. You have 10 minutes a day. That's it, 10 minutes a day. No more, no less, to build your business in your future. Who do you talk to? What do you talk about? And what's the next steps? What information or data do you need to know that things are moving forward or backwards, things are progressing or declining? When you start constraint conversations like this with yourself, you really start to understand what's important in your life and business at a high level. Now, listen, key is that we all have more than 10 minutes a day, right? That's the goal. But unfortunately, I see a lot of people thinking they have more time in the day than they actually do to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. So multiply this. So what I do, my 10 minutes is literally who is on the phone? That's the first question. The who to help me implement the how. The who would be like the COO. The who might be your assistant today. The who could be, it's got to be someone that's going to multiply or amplify your voice in your business or in your life. If I'm sitting here traveling, right, and I have to get this stuff done in 10 minutes a day, I can't be making cold calls out. I can't be sending, 5,000 emails out one at a time. But I can talk to my COO or COOs, depending on the companies I'm working. I could also talk to the marketing department. I could talk to the sales guys and gals. And I could have a global team group conversation. Hey guys, what's up? Boom. Start off with big message and then just drill down. Instead of just talking about like, oh, how's the weather over there? Blah, 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 blah. Again, wasting time. That's a very important thing to talk about, guys, is a lot of you are spending too much time just talking about nothing, talking about dick. Like seriously, like I see so many people waste their conversations at so many high levels. Yesterday, for example, some guy messaged me like, yo, man, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't even know what the hell he's saying. Truth is, I swear, this is exactly what he said. Something about some gesture I made when he sent me a message via text, and I gave him like thumbs up or whatever. He's like, yo, man, that's a kind of a racial thing now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have no fucking clue what this guy's talking about, truthfully. And he's a nice guy and all that. Not that he's not a nice guy, but like, I'm like, dude, how do you even know this stuff exists? Like, who are you talking to and why are you even talking about this bullshit? Like, first of all, it's not racial. It's a yellow thumb up or whatever. Secondly, why are we even talking about this bullshit? So like literally I replied back and said, dude, I don't care. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's stay focused. And we're doing a transaction. And the truth is I almost pulled the transaction because he was talking about nothing. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is talking about nothing. Why are we talking about nothing? Life is too short. I don't want to be laying in my grave, meeting the man upstairs and saying, yo, man, let's just talk to talk. No, we have shit to get done. We have a lot of stuff. The truth is, I'd rather sit out back what I'm doing right now and do absolutely no talking. I'd rather complete silence so I can start deprogramming or working on myself, having a conversation with myself. I know outside looking in, it might look a little weird, but like the truth is there's a lot of amazing work that can happen when you're sitting in silent with pen and paper. Thinking about what do you want? What does it look like? How does it taste? What does it feel like? Who is involved? Where are you going? How big is it going to be? Why are you thinking so small? Why are you thinking that big? Why are you thinking that strategy? Why not this strategy? And really just having that conversation with myself as opposed to all this other BS about like, yo, man, you see what so-and-so did in football? I don't care. I genuinely don't care what anybody did in football. I don't care. I want people talking about me like, yo, man, like I'm asking myself, swear to God on my life, I'm asking myself this question. How the hell can I get people to watch me on Sunday make money in business, create business decisions? That's the real question I'm asking. Because you guys realize like these athletes, again, they're amazing athletes. I'm not taking anything away from them, but a couple things going on with this. One, they're getting paid millions of dollars, not all of them, but a lot of them are getting paid real money for you to show up and pay even more money to wear their gear, to watch them do their job. That's what they get paid for. Who's paying you to watch your job, do your job? It's very interesting to think about. Secondly, you realize like in athletics, like the problem with their world, the reason they got to make as much money as humanly possible, as quickly as possible, is because they're only typically one massive injury away from being done. Could you imagine working your whole life, 20 years of your life, and then ultimately you get in you hurt your leg or whatever, and now you're out of the game forever, something you've given your life to. See, to me in business, I've given my life to business and expanding. What's interesting about business and all that is I actually get better the longer I'm in it. I understand things differently the longer I'm in it. My expiration is death. That's my expiration. Like you always, once you realize really what your unique ability is and value into a marketplace is, again, this is the multiplying effect. I can multiply my voice and amplify things by simply understanding who I am and what I stand for and where I'm going. So as a business owner, we're constantly progressing and growing and learning. Not to say everything I touch is a winner. That definitely is not the case. But I can tell you it's not about just you're going to lose. That's part of the game of growth. But how do you have bigger wins than losses? What are you learning from your losses? The truth is I learn more from my losses than I do winners. Right now, and especially in business and real estate specifically, is everyone looks smart because the market makes people smarter than they are. And success covers up obstacles. Market conditions make people look like they're doing a great job when the market's doing a good job and they're just simply barely getting by. So for me, let's keep talking about multiplying. As I'm sitting here talking to you, I have a pretty cool thing I've been working on for a couple of years in my brain and writing down and really wanting to find an amazing person to help lead it. But I have a thing called the DM Alliance where we actually work with other investors and I become a partner in their company and I use my resources and my partner's resources inside of that to amplify not only their business, but also amplifies my business because I am a partner. So I'd rather have a lot of little pieces of a lot of things than 100% of one thing, right? Because then I got to do everything. And again, I'm just sharing this globally. This can be done in any industry, by the way. So I have a buddy that was big into working out. And then I was like, yo, man, you got to stop just trading your time. He's charging $100 an hour, which is whatever. And he charges $100 an hour, but he's got to drive to the client. That's a half hour right there each way. So there's 2 hours. So now he's down to $50 an hour. Plus he's only working 3 or 4 hours a day, right? So he has caps on what he can generate in a month or in a day even. So I started talking to him. I'm like, dude, you need to like share your workouts. You need to start talking about your supplements. You need to share kind of like your weight loss programs that you work and create this big platform. And before you know it, I think 5-6 years later, the guy has thousands of people paying him X amount of dollars a month. He has a high-end program where he works with high-end people. And I know many people in that industry that's done this. I know a guy that works only with CEOs. He charges $25,000 for 2 days. He comes to your house. He sits down with you and he breaks down on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong and how to get back on track. Now, you might think that's a lot of money. The truth is, if you're a massive CEO, your health is your most important thing. At some point in your life, you realize that after you make some money in business, because sometimes it's out of balance. So what happens, this guy comes in there and 25 G's for 2 days is nothing for the grand scheme of things. So don't think that don't pigeonhole yourself thinking that's all you do. If you're a teacher, for God's sakes, I have a teacher that actually teaches our son, and she used to be a public school teacher. She doesn't believe in the school systems like I don't believe in the school systems. They're old, outdated, and they're just not, it's just not where I want to put my children at. So we have a hired school teacher. She makes way more an hour than she would ever in any school industry. Not only that, she has generated, massive amounts of revenue for herself and her family. When I say massive, it's all relative, but a lot of money for her to, she's created plans. She's created, education plans for children, and she holds people accountable, and she has a program to teach other people how to become a homeschool teacher, XYZ. So she has a path to create multiple streams of revenue in one niche industry to multiply her efforts, to multiply her voice, to multiply her money in her pocket, which is ultimately what the goal is for all of us, I hope, is to figure out how to gain access to more capital. And again, maybe you're young right now, maybe you're 20s or 30s, and you're thinking you're going to live forever. The truth is, I'm 41 years old, and I've never been more urgent in my mind to generate more money, to help more people, to give back more, and to ultimately have more available for myself, my family, my legacy. And right now, I'm healthy as a horse, but that could change on a dime. So, and it could change for anybody. A lot of times I see people living very optimistic, like, oh, I'm healthy forever. Well, we all know that's not the case. And I'm not wishing that on anybody, but it's going to happen to someone. It could be you. I've never met someone who said, wow, I always knew that was going to happen to me, and they were ready for it. You got to be prepared. You got to be prepared for the worst. Most people are prepared for the best. I want to prepare for the worst. I want to really dial in and make sure I have enough available cash on hand, liquid, and with assets and investments, etc., to be able to take care of the lifestyle I want when shit hits the fan, because I believe ultimately it's going to. Now, listen, I don't want it to, but it could, and it can, and ideally it doesn't. So, and that goes for me, my wife, my kids, anybody I care about, right? So I just don't want to be that guy posting online. And again, I'm not knocking this, just the reality of the facts. I don't want to be the guy posting online about the GoFundMe pages about helping someone raise 25 grand to bury them or to take care of their medical bills or whatever. I want to be a professional adult, and I want to do the things I need to do today to prepare for a better future for tomorrow. And again, I'm not talking shit on it. I just believe that most people are playing small, preparing for the best, not the worst, and acting like they're going to live forever. And it's bullshit. We're not going to live. You're going to die. I talk about this all the time. And it's not to be morbid. It's the facts. I only talk about the facts. So that's a couple things there, but we got to start multiplying. How are you multiplying your money? You having 50 grand or 100 grand or 5, whatever's in the bank, that's sitting in there, you looking at it, getting a hard on, thinking you're doing amazing, does absolutely nothing for you but for your ego. It's only ego driven. The truth is, money in the bank does not produce revenue, which does not multiply your wealth, which is going to hold you back from massive growth. And if you only have 5 grand, I'm not saying go out and run and do investments. I'm saying maybe invest in yourself. Buy a book, buy a course, go to a seminar. A seminar changed my life. I'm not saying all are created equal, but start investing in yourself. It's very interesting to me that people will go spend 100 to 200 grand for a college education, get a degree, to make 50 grand a year. You could invest in yourself 5 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand. Shit, if you spend 100 grand, whatever subject matter you want to excel at, you could generate millions of dollars in. I don't care what the subject matter is. So you could become an expert in that field by investing in a lot of great products and books. And it's never been easier to gain access to this information of whatever you're thinking about. And I don't care if you're a janitor. I don't care if you're a school teacher. I don't care if you're a firefighter. I don't care if you're a medical person. I don't care what it is. There's opportunities that's never been, like our grandparents, our parents never had these opportunities that you and I have today. So I want you to multiply these conversations with yourself. This conversation we're having today needs to get you to think. Let's start thinking like money goggles, if you will. Put your money goggles on for a second. As I'm talking to you, I'm grabbing my iPhone, right? I have my iPhone in my hand. I'm looking at this thing, right? And I have a charger case on it. I have an iPhone. There's a lot of people making a lot of money inside of this one little gadget. The handheld thing I'm talking to you on this podcast show, there's a lot of people making money. So like, for example, on the cell phone case, I bought this third party. My wife did, actually. So when she buys it, she probably bought it through Amazon, I'm guessing. There's a box that's done. There's shipping that's done. There's cars that are involved in it. There's, printing involved in it. There's marketing people getting paid involved in it. There's wholesalers, there's distributors. There's umpteen hundreds of people generating pennies and profits from this one piece of gadget. These are the money goggles. My buddy Mike always used to talk about money goggles on the salt shaker. Salt shaker, think of the guy that creates the die, or gal, the die cast to create the metal die that produces the salt shaker. And then you got the printers, and then you got the production, and then you got all the machines that are involved in all these processes. There's so many people involved in all these little things, and we're just so busy consuming. We're not looking at this stuff saying, where is the opportunity inside of this process? So, it's everywhere. Everywhere I'm looking right now as I'm speaking to you, from flower pots to pools to tiles to fake grass to tables to houses to, it's everywhere, right? So think about multiplying. How do you multiply? What do you multiply? Don't multiply problems, by the way. I'm talking about what are the opportunities with what you're up to over there with whatever you do. So if you're doing, and again, just to be clear, I have a lot of people. I was doing an event in June, my birthday bash party, the Deal-a-thon 2.0, which is insane. And I hope you guys come to the next one. It's usually $2 or $3 grand a person. It's a steal. There's amazing people. There's nothing to buy. It's amazing. Anyways, I'm not here to talk about that, but some guy's in the room and he's like, yo, man, I'm really multiplying my efforts. And I'm like, great. What are you doing? He's like, direct mail. I'm like, awesome. He's like, but it's not working. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me about it, right? This is from stage, by the way. And he's like, well, I'm like, how many pieces are you sending? He's like, 100. Well, no shit, it's not working. 100 is nothing. See, when you go from one, when you're an addition mindset, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, it's very tough to realize how marketing really works. Do you think you have a better opportunity sending to 100 people or 10,000 people? Sounds pretty fucking stupid to say it like that, right? Of course it's 10,000 people. But it also depends on the message. It depends on how the list is pulled. Most people are trying to multiply too fast. So I will throw a caveat in there. Don't try to multiply certain things too fast. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say if you're a one-man or one-gal show, as this bird's screaming out here, as you're a one-man or one-person show, and you're like, I have a full-time job, I'm trying to transition into full-time real estate investing or whatever business you're in, I would say, great, how many leads can you handle a day or a week or both, actually? And you'd say 10. Awesome. 10 leads a day. Perfect. Let's reverse engineer how to get that. The average response rate on direct mail, let's call it 1%. So to get 10 leads a day, on average, I need to send out 1,000 postcards to get my 1% response rate, which equals 10. This is basic math, folks, by the way. This is nothing, revolutionary. However, it is revolutionary if you're sitting there wondering why your business isn't working and you're doing the work. Well, it's probably because you're not looking at real numbers and you're lying to yourself. See, if you can get 50 leads a week, you got to send 5,000 postcards. If you're only sending 100 postcards and you're listening to me saying, I get 10 leads a day, and you're like, why the fuck isn't this working for me then? Well, it's simple. You're not sending the amount of postcards we are. Now, that's not right or wrong. It's just you're looking at it wrong. You got to understand how multiplying works, but don't over multiply. Let's say you don't go send out 10,000. This is what most people do. They get all hard on, then they go out and send 10,000 postcards, and then they get blown up with 100 leads in a day, and they're like, I can't handle it. And then they just wasted all that time, energy, and money, and now they say it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because you had a massive influx. This happens in all companies, by the way. It's happened to me. It will happen to me again, where you get a massive influx and leads get wasted. So sometimes over multiplying can cause issues. So you got to get real with yourself. How many leads can I handle a day? Right now, not necessarily where you want to be next week or next year, for sure. Definitely not next month, next year. But right now, where you at? Let's get real with that. You set that number. Let's say I'm keeping using 10, but 10 leads a day. What do I need to do to get 10 leads a day? How much do I need to spend to get 10 leads a day? These are the questions you need to start asking yourself to start understanding how to multiply yourself, your voice, your message. So if you want 10 leads a day and the average lead is $10, I'm making this up, you got to spend $100 a day to get the results you're seeking. If you're sitting here squeezing the penny so hard Lincoln's nose is bleeding and you're trying to figure out how to get 10 leads a day for free, well, you're fucked. You're never going to be successful. That's not what success looks like. It will never work. It's never worked, and it's not going to work. So what makes you think you're going to make it work? And not only that, even if it worked a micromillimeter, a little bit, it's never going to get you to another level of what you're capable of because you don't have the chops or the mindset to grow and develop the money flow to multiply that to the next level. Now, listen, you got to start where you're starting at. I started driving for dollars in real estate. I don't mind if you go door knocking. What I'm sharing with you is 23 years of experience, knowing what I know now. I needed to hear this conversation. I invested millions of dollars to learn what I'm sharing with you, by the way. And I still continue to do by implementing it, by getting the results and having the results speak for themselves, not just bullshit conversation, acting like a theorized, I don't even know if that's a word, but theory conversation with you. I'm talking real life stuff. So if you're trying to accomplish, let's say, I'm starting a new company as we speak, actually. Our goal is to sell 34 pieces an hour. 34 an hour. It's 800 a day, right? Approximately 800 units a day, 34 an hour. The only way to do that, you got to break this down. If you don't understand how the math works, the multiplication will never work, right? So I need 800 a day. I need 800 clients a day times 30 days in a month. It's 24,000 clients, 24,000 units. It could be 12,000 clients. And again, this is all marketing, right? It's all multiplication. Are they buying multiple products? Are they buying one product? Are they buying 1.5 times X, blah, 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 blah. These are things you start learning as you develop into a business owner. So I can't do that for free. I can't do that door knocking. This is all online marketing. This is all direct mail marketing. This is all very strategic, high-level quality marketing. This is stuff that you have to start learning. And then you start asking yourself, what's my cost to acquire a customer, right? There's cost to acquire a lead and a cost to acquire a customer. These are conversations you have. So let's go back to these 10 lead things. If I'm making $1,000 per lead on average, and I'm willing to spend up to X, you as a business owner need to come up with that number. I'm willing to spend $1,000 to make 1,000. Why? Depending on the situation, typically you can turn that customer into a bigger customer and make a lot more money. So he who can understand the power of how much you can pay up front will win the game of marketing, right? Because if everyone else I see most people out there trying to figure out how to get the cheapest client, I'm trying to figure out how to spend the most. Think about this. You're trying to figure out how to go the least amount path. I'm trying to figure out how to go the most amount path. Who do you think is going to get more of the market share, right? This is marketing, understanding your metrics, understanding your KPIs. This is the only way I know how to multiply anything. You can't multiply with confidence, not knowing your numbers. I'm not just saying go out there and be, naive and silly and just wasting money. I'm talking about a very strategic path of creating revenue through your business by understanding your KPIs from cost per lead, cost per customer to cost per exit on the cart. How much are they spending? What are they buying? Where are they searching? What are they searching? What's selling? What's not selling? Where are you exhausting your energies? Because go back to the 80-20 rule, right? We could go on and on about this. But let me get back on track. We got to start understanding how to multiply our effect by putting our money goggles on. That's the way we do it. Creating constraints, right? I need 10 leads a day. Well, I don't go door knocking. I don't go driving for dollars. I send out X amount of postcards because I know what the response rate typically is. Some days will be higher. Some days will be lower. What I'm looking for is averages here. And when you do that, the competition really changes. Another thing I see wrong with people trying to multiply is they never hire. They very rarely hire. See, if you don't understand how business works, you're not hiring anybody because you think it costs you money. See, when you understand, when you multiply, meaning when I hire someone for 50 grand, I expect that to generate 200,000 plus in revenue for the company. That's what I'm expecting. Let's say, for example, that's a 300 times return on my investment, right? So I put 50 in and I get 200 back. It's pretty powerful. How do you do that? How do you start thinking like that? When you hire that assistant for 36 grand a year, that individual is going to buy you back X amount of hours a day, which equal X amount of dollars more you could produce in revenue. Yes, there's a learning curve to all this. Yes, there's a process, but this is the stuff you need to start learning if you want to really excel and become the making of a DM. This is what DMs do, deal makers and dream makers. The deal to make to yourself is, how much is this individual worth to myself and my company? What is my time worth, right? Maybe even on the transition. I don't know where you're at, if you're full-time or not in your business, but maybe you hire a full-time person while you're in transition part-time, right? Because they're going to give you more time. They're going to give you more opportunity. It's going to allow you to generate some revenue so you can actually depart with whatever you're doing. These are all things I'm thinking about constantly when I'm meeting people and I'm talking to people and I'm hearing their frustrations. Their frustrations are their mental limitations. They're trying to figure out very slowly how to grow. What happens with slow growth is death. What happens typically with slow growth is they peter out, they tap out, and they move on and they just accept life as it is. You're better than that. You're worth more than that. And dream makers and deal makers definitely don't tap out. So what I want you to do is start thinking about multiplying. Everything you do is your actions have to be multiplied. How do you amplify your voice? You can't just talk to yourself and multiply. You got to be talking to marketing people. You got to be talking to lawyers. You got to be talking to, different people that's on your team as you're developing. What does it look like? What are you thinking about? Who are you talking about and what are you talking about are very important. Who and what, right? So where are you going? Sharing the vision. Are you sharing the vision or are you talking about tactical, right? I personally don't get too deep into tactics because I'm not going to do the tactics. So why do I might understand them. I just don't need to know how to do them all, right? So what are you doing? Share the big vision. Here's where we're going. Here's how we're going to get there. Tom Brady's not hiking the ball to himself and running his route. He's literally doing his job. Think about it like a football team. There's so many people on the team. There's so many people in the field at that moment. You got your role in your place. You're the quarterback or the owner or the coach of your company. Pick which one you want to be and execute appropriately. And when you start thinking like this, you start creating multiple effects, you start creating multiple opportunities. You'll start creating a life that you know you're capable of. I'm not going to say this is easy. I'm going to say this is fucking hard as hell because you're stressing out. You're pushing the boundaries. You're going in uncharted territory that you don't even know exists. But I can tell you this. It's amazing. When you get to the other side, when you get through the storm and you start realizing, holy cow, kind of like my DM Alliance. I just got a bunch of testimonial videos come over in the last 24 hours. Like, you changed my life. You changed not just my life, but my family's life. You're allowing me to get excited. One thing you're going to feel, by the way, guys, is you're going to get massively overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed with confusion and frustration, but overwhelmed with opportunity. Yes, you'll have a little bit of both, but once you really understand what I'm talking about, you're going to be overwhelmed with too much. It's going to be overflowing. Most people are trying to figure out how to do enough with just enough. This is like you're just overflowing. Things are coming to you and you're like, how? This is amazing, right? So what I want you to do is start putting on your money goggles. Start thinking about your multiplying effects. Where are you the most valuable in this process? How can you multiply? Who do you get on the phone? And how do we start executing with a vengeance? All right. With that said, appreciate you being here. Make sure to check me out on Instagram at Mark Evans DM, again, on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. And if you guys would please take a minute, if this show's been amazing for you or helped you in any way, shape, or form, or if you're brand new, make sure to start from the show from the beginning, kind of talk to you about what the show's about, why I started this show, and kind of what my goal is with the show for you and the community that we're creating here, because we are creating a community over here at the Making of a DM. And if you get a chance, jump on iTunes, share a 5-star rating with us, tell people and let the world know what we're up to. And I appreciate you guys being here. So with that said, hope you have an amazing day and stay focused. You got this. Make today count. Peace.
I'm Mark Evans DM. I'm here to help and teach him what I know and how I did it to discover freedom. There ain't no question Mark Evans when he step in the door. He's closing deals. Time to tell him what the DM stand for. I'm a deal maker, but I'm not just a deal maker. I'm a dream maker. The journey's where it's at. It's all about the process. It's time to get over to the DM project. From a small town in Ohio, so I know how it is. Did not come from a lot of money. I remember as a kid, wanted to make 100 racks. Didn't see no one making more than that. Graduated high school with a 1.8. They should've held me back. I hope my principals and teachers are alive just to witness this. I'm my own boss. I'm out here running 2-8-figure businesses. I can walk away from it all and I'll be good, but I've been called to help people just like y'all learn the game. It's time to ball. Everybody chasing the money, but I'm not chasing the money. I'm out here chasing the purpose. Yo, I've been working my whole life. What got us where we at isn't gonna get us where we wanna go. So it's time to push, time to learn, time to grow. I'm Mark Evans DM. I'm here to help and teach him what I know and how I did it to discover freedom. There ain't no question Mark Evans when he step in the door. He's closing deals. It's time to tell him what the DM stand for. I'm a deal maker, but I'm not just a deal maker. I'm a dream maker. The journey's where it's at. It's all about the process. It's time to get over to the DM project. I'm Mark Evans DM. Deal maker, deal maker, deal maker, deal maker, deal maker, DM project.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.